Marie-Sophie Obama, you're a former professional player, and you're the deputy president of the ASVEL Féminin club. And so welcome here this afternoon.
Thank you.
And Tony Parker, you're a retired NBA player. I'm not going to list your achievements because we only have 25 minutes, so it will take all the time. But you're now an entrepreneur and the owner of the ASVEL club. So first of all, the first thing I want to say is congratulations on winning the European Cup and the French League.
Thank you.
I was actually watching on Monday evening. I was very tense because it was a very tight game.
You watched the game?
I was watching the game, and I was supposed to be working to prepare this event, but I was actually watching the game. And it was so tight, but congratulations, it's an amazing achievement. First question to you, what can we wish for the club, for the Féminin club? You've won everything this year. What's the next step? What's going to be a good season next year?
But first of all, I was so happy for the girls, so happy for my big sis, because that's how I call her. We grew up together, and we always imagined to own a women's team, and the way that it happened, and since we started 6 years ago, it was just a nice accomplishment. And for me, it's different because as a player, you live differently when you win a championship as a player and as an owner. And so as an owner, I'm more like a step back, and you look at everybody enjoying themselves and being so happy. So it's a great feeling, and hopefully we can keep it going. It's something that is important to us, because I started with the men's team. In 2014, I bought the men's team, and then 2017, the women's team. And for me, it's a way to give back to women's sport. It's a way for me to fight for equality for men and women. As an ambassador of United Nations, it's something that I do on a daily basis. And so I think it's important, because we have a long way to go for someday that the women are treated the same as the men.
That's a very strong message. And so I hear that you're as involved in the ASVEL Féminin club as with the French club, the male club.
Men's club, yeah.
The men's club. And so my question to you is, we know that gender equality is at the center, at the core of the mission of the ASVEL Féminin.
Yes.
So can you tell us?
It's one of our main objectives. But why I'm so involved is because I can see the difference when I negotiate a contract for the men's team and when I want to try to negotiate a contract for the women's team. It's always way more for the men's. So what we decided to do is, now if you want to invest in the men's team, you have to invest in the women's team. And it has to be like the same amount. And so we're very lucky and blessed that our main sponsor is called LDLC. Say hi to Laurent, is the CEO. We started that trend that we started with the men, it was a huge amount, and with the women, it was not the same, And as we were talking and try to work on that movement to treat everybody the same, we started that process that now, when a man wants to come, he has to invest in the women's team, and it has to be the same amount. You can't put, like, let's say, $1 million in the men and only 50,000 in the women. It has to be like the same amount. And
so they're putting the same amount?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's unbelievable, because obviously, like I said, we have a long way to go with women's sports, because it's not making as much money right now. But when I see the arena on Monday night when we won the championship, it was packed. If you told me 3-4 years ago that we will have 6,000 people going crazy like that for a women's team, I'd be like, that'd be tough to do. And it was packed on Saturday and Monday, packed arena, and everybody was supporting our women's team. So it's the way you do it, it's the way you promoted it, and she's unbelievable, the way she carries, that woman project. And I'm very happy that now, today, even the ownership group who's invested in the men's team, everybody wants to invest in the women's team now, like that they do both. And so we're starting, I think, something special now.
Thank you, Tony, for this. So, directing to you, Marie-Sophie. So, can you tell us a little bit more on the women's project?
Yes, like Tony said, gender equality is very important for us. And of course, we wanted to develop women's basketball, but we wanted also sorry, that the sports plays its role, you know, in the society, because you know we are facing challenges that we never seen before, and sport is the perfect tool to embrace and to address those challenges. So we decided to like build a new model. And today, you know, sport and winning championship, providing emotion, like Tony said, is very important. But also, you know, the social impact and our social commitment is very important. And it's all about gender equality for us.
So let me understand. So the project is you've put in the statute of the company, the ASVEL Féminin, the fact that the ASVEL Féminin is a club with purpose. Am I right? So what can you tell us, what is the difference between, I would say, a club with certain values, with strong values, and a club which puts in its status that it has a mission, which is to fight for gender equality? What does it change?
I mean, when you put that in the status, you have to elevate, you know, the social mission at the same level as the sports mission. And we say we want to win, but we want to win in our way, you know, like fully. When you are a led purpose company, you have to be aligned. Your value, you know, are your guide, and it comes from, you know, the way we manage, or the way also the girls, they play on the court, like they need to, you know, behave like they are captain of their lives. That's our mission. The way we involve, like Tony said, the sponsor, and sometimes we also take the freedom to choose the sponsors. You know, if we are not aligned, and we all need that the sponsor, they embrace the same challenges. So if we are all together in the same page, that's the way we're gonna accomplish our mission. Being champion, but also allow each girl to realize her dreams and be the captain of her life.
I love the fact that do you want to expand on that, Tony?
No, I was like the first time she talked to me about, you know, the entreprise à mission, and we became the first entreprise à mission in women's sports. I like the slogan that be captain of your life and, you know, take charge of your life, because in my experience, and I just want to share something a little bit like personal, is every woman has the potential to do something special, and they're as good, maybe better than men. And so I will always remember when I called her in 2016, I called her and I was like, we need to do the women's team. It's time, you know, I'm going to buy it, and I don't want to do that project without you. Like, if I'm going to do that project, let's do it together. And so I will always remember, she's like, okay, so like, what's going to be my position? I said, you're going to be the president, you know, president of the team. And then she looked at me like crazy. I was like, I can't be president. I'm like, why? Like, but I can't be president. I'm like, why? Because you're a woman? I'm like, no, you're going to be president. I don't care that you're a woman. We need more president women, and we need more people like you to take charge of your life and have confidence, you know? And so I will always remember our first like meeting, you know, with sponsors and partners. She was so nervous and stressed. And when I see her evolution, like 6 years after, now she's like way better than me on speeches and presidents and sponsors. Like she really improved and took confidence in herself. And so for every girl that we help with that project and with the academy, we want to make sure they have confidence on themselves and they can do as good than men. And so I always say that at the academy. I always say that to all the kids, you know, we work with. I say, always dream big, you know, dream big. And I always say that if you say your dream to somebody and he's not laughing at you, you're not dreaming big enough. And so we want our girls to dream big.
You know, when we were preparing this session, Marie-Sophie didn't want to speak on stage, so I'm so glad that you did. Can we have a round
she's
of
great.
applause for Marie-Sophie? She
didn't want to do it because it was in English, you know. By the way, I told her just before we started, I was like, first of all, in France, we're terrible in English. Nobody speaks English in France. You know, we may be the worst country for languages. So I'm like, don't worry, your English is great. We don't care about the accent. She's doing good, huh?
I was focused on my accent. Thank you.
I told her the same. My accent sucks. So let's talk about the model concretely. You know, so you're a club with a purpose. What does it mean in the way you work with your partners? So I understand that besides, you know, selling tickets to the games, which is really important. And we saw on Monday night how a room that is packed can influence the game itself. But besides that, how do you work with your partners? What do you bring to them?
Well, we involve them in, we have 4 themes. The first one, and Tony explained, is the body and mind positivity. So how to know better ourselves, and gain for the women, to gain the self-confidence and be able to break the glass ceiling. Because that's the point, If he hadn't pushed me, maybe for sure I would still live in the southwest of France and selling houses because I was a real estate agent before, So that's the first thing. And when you are confident enough, then you're able to achieve your dreams. The second one is growing through sports and to be able, to work with the young generation, the future generation, and break and fight against all the stereotypes. For example, now, lucky us, we have a very famous soccer player, female, but before that it was complicated. So this inspiration and the role model we can bring thanks to the sport to the young generation is very important, to fight and to be close to them, and also encourage little girls to practice sports, because that's the way, when you achieve something on the field, then you take this and you're able to achieve other things, the dreams, out the field or in your life in general. And the third one is women's entrepreneurship, because we definitely need the women to say yes, go to entrepreneurship.
Yes.
It's very important, and to be able to have successful, like raise fund successfully. It's very important. And the last one is the feminization of the management in the companies, in the organization, in the exec teams. It's okay. It's very important to have this balance. And we have, at the first level, a lot of women, but once you climb the
there's a glass ceiling.
You climb the ladder. Then it's only about maybe the first level you have 50% and then 25%, and when you reach the exec team, you have maybe 1 or 2%. So it's very important, thanks to our program, to go in the companies to help women employees with high potential to say yes, on the same way he did with me. We have this program we call the Captain of Your Life program, and we can do that with them. We go in the school, and to also be this role model and to help the little girls define and find themselves.
We had a session this morning on the influence of boards and how boards can influence the system and change it.
Isabelle Grosmaître.
With Isabelle.
She was a speaker, and she was the one who helped us build
And one
this
of the
program.
big solutions is actually to the feminization of boards. So the work that you're doing is super important.
Yeah, I agree.
Tony, back at you. We also work a lot at ChangeNOW with the finance world. This morning there was a session where we tried to help also investors to raise more money around social and environmental issues. And there is a big trend right now in finance. It's called ESG finance, environmental, social, governance finance. And we see that now investors really need to tackle societal problems to be able to raise more money as well. And so my question to you is, you're raising funds for your club and for your activities. Is it for you a challenge, or on the contrary, a tool for you to raise more funds? The fact that the ASVEL Féminin club has a purpose. How is it going with the investors? How do they react to?
I think as investors, we want to have a purpose in where we're going to put our money. Me, when I decided to come back in France, I was animated that I wanted to give back to my country, give back to the young generation. That was like my first motivation. And as I grow older, yes, you want to find projects that can have an impact in our world. One of my last investments with Smart Good Things, the main reason is because we can have an impact on the world, the way we consume everything and where the money is going to go. Because 25% of what we earn, we give it back to different foundation, associations. So that was one of the main reasons I wanted to do it. And so I think investors of today, that's what they look for. They want to have a purpose. They're not going to invest in sports just to do sports. I think that if MS didn't create everything she created with Isabelle, I don't think we'll have that much people interest to invest in our team if we didn't have all those core values and everything we try to promote to help women grow. And to talk about environment, even me, I'm trying to get more educated in what can we do better and how can I help in that area. My girl right here, she always like pushing me to try to know more and how we can help better on the environment.
Push him.
And so that's why she was like, when I told her I was coming today doing this, she's like, but you don't know enough about environment. It's gonna be tough with the questions and stuff like that. And I still try to see what I can do better. 2 days ago at the Academy, I had a big meeting with a big association who wanted me an ambassador to invest in environment stuff. So I think as I get better and better and educate myself, the next step for me is, yeah, how can we help? But what's the value, you know, of the association? And like that, I understand why I want to invest in those projects.
Well, if you're looking for help, we can definitely do that. You know,
I'm in the right place.
A couple
I'm in
of
the right
projects here
place.
that you know you could invest in. That's for sure. On sustainability. Tony, we're at Change Now here, so we talk a lot about change. When you came back from the US, you came back to France. What was your vision of the change that you wanted to bring in the system? May it be sport or beyond sport as well. What is it that you wanted to bring?
First of all, I just said a little bit in my answer earlier. I just wanted to have an impact in my country. I'm very grateful for everything that my country gave me. Growing up and coming from a family where we didn't have no money, no nothing, like that's something I wanted to give back. I was very blessed with earning a lot of money in sports. We're very lucky that in basketball it's a lot of money, and so the way my parents raised me is you have to give back, and so I started with the basketball camps and foundation dinners, and I wanted to go further with the academy, and that's the legacy that I want to leave, when I'm gone, is at least I try to do something to help the young generation and try to help make the world better. Even the first thing a lot of people say when we talk about environment is like, oh, it's not going to change what I'm going to do, but if everybody, a single person, everybody does a little bit, that's how we can do better. And I admit I was one of those persons, but like, it's not going to change anything, what I do, and I try to change my mentality, especially since I have like 2 kids, and the way I want to raise them, it made me more aware what I should do better for the environment.
I mean, the reason why we're doing what we're doing at ChangeNOW is that everyone has a role to play in the way we shape our societies tomorrow, today and tomorrow. We're all involved, we all have influence. And the fact that people like you, question themselves and have their own path in those, on this particular topic, it's really important, and you're sending a very important message to all the people that are here.
I'll give you a funny example. Like this morning, I took the train to come for this event, and I had 2 people came to me. It's like, Tony Parker, you take the train?
Not a char-à-voile?
And so I was like, yeah, that's my way to give back to the environment. No more private jets, Can I take the train?
Is that a commitment?
It was funny because it was like, and one end they complain when celebrities take too many private jets. But then when I was on the train, he looked at me like I was crazy, like, what you doing on the train? So I thought it was funny.
Did you tell him you are going to change now? So
exactly.
You had to take the
I told him, I'm going to change now.
I'm glad we're having that influence on you, Tony. Marie-Sophie, back at you. I got a question that is, I'm a big sports fan, tennis and many other disciplines, and I think in every single discipline there's been this question, this problem rising around the salary gap between men and women. And what's your opinion on the issue right now? Do you think it's fair that women are not paid as much as the men in the sports world? What's your take on this?
I don't think it's much the question of salary, you know. It's more the question of access to practice, and then maybe the media treatment, which has to be more equal, you know, to develop attractiveness around women's sports, and then this attractiveness will lead to, you know, reduce the gap of salaries. You have to know that, I don't know if you know the stats, but women's sports represent only 5% of sports broadcasted on TV. So it's not a lot, you know. But since we don't have those TV rights and we don't have this, you know, we need to find, and that's what we try to create with Tony, you know, our own ecumenical model, you know, and the emergence of new models through sports for good. This, you know, it's the area of the good, you know, but we need to also in sports take this way of the good, you know, and the emergence of model will lead, you know, women's sports to find his own model, and after we will reduce the gap after that.
Yeah, I agree, but to add, salaries is one thing, but it's people's perception to women and women's sport. When we bought the team 6 years ago, nobody was paying to go see the girls play. The old president was like, oh, everything is free, nobody will pay. Nobody will ever pay for a women's basketball game. That's what he told me when we bought the team. So when we first started, oh yeah, he was laughing at us. When we started, I was like, okay, no more free tickets. Everybody's paying €2. They were like strikes, you know, France, they love to strike. Like they were mad, blah blah blah. How can you make us pay for a women's game? And I like, you know what? If you want to come to our team, you're gonna pay, because to respect the woman that is working hard to create a nice entertainment for you guys, you're gonna pay. And so we started with €2, and slowly but surely we're more and more expensive. At the end of the year, we play in the semifinals against Bourges, who's like the reference, you know, in women's basketball. Who was? It's us now. It's us. And so the president of the region of basketball, he calls the ticket guy, and he's like, I want 20 tickets. And so the guy's like, okay, here's the amount that you have to pay. And like, I will never pay for a women's basketball game. And say, okay. Tony and Marie-Sophie say, no more free tickets. So if you want to come to the game, he's like, I'm not coming to the game. He's like, fine, I don't care. He's like, I'm the president of the region. He's like, yeah, fine, don't come, don't care. He hangs up. 10 minutes after, he calls back. He takes 40 tickets and pay for everything. So it's the perception that you have to push, you know, to make sure that people change their mindset. And 6 years after, we have 6,000 people packed, everybody paid. And so that's how we can keep our best women now and raise their salaries.
I think we're running out of time, so one last question to the two of you. Can you tell us one thing that makes you feel outraged and one thing that makes you feel very optimistic in your work every day? The two of you.
3 days after winning the championship, it's hard, you know, to find something that makes me outraged. Because I'm really happy and grateful, you know, for what we have achieved at the end of this season, and being here, you know, on the stage. Just maybe a little anecdote. So you saw the game on Monday, and after the game we were celebrating with the team, the fans, and a girl, I didn't know her, she ran into my arms, you know, and she told me, she was very emotional and almost crying, and I'm so happy that you won. But also I wanted to tell you that I'm part of the program Captain of Your Life, you know, and I was, oh really? Yeah, it's been 3 months that, you know, I'm following the program. And she said, you know, you cannot imagine, it's been 2 years that I left school. I couldn't go out, you know, I was staying home. My parents, I'm emotional, you know, when I think about that. But my parents, they didn't know what to do with me. And she wasn't a basketball player, you know. She was just, you know, she saw ASVEL, she knew Tony, she was following us. And she was, okay, maybe that's my last chance and I'm going to follow this program. So, you know, she was out of everything. And she said three months after, I start to enjoy life again. I'm going to go back to school. I'm so happy. And, you know, I would have been able to come here to the arena and attend the game. So thank you so much for that. And, you know, I was so grateful because that's the reason why, you know, we built this program exactly for that. Winning, but, you know, not only winning all together.
We can feel the emotion and the sincerity. Thank you. Thank you, Marie-Sophie.
I didn't even know, yeah. I didn't know. Oh, I can't talk after this. That was really good. That was really good. What's outraged me? But to stay in the same theme, you know, that we have to treat women and men the same. It's a big subject right now in our world. Our best player in our women's team.
She played so well on Monday, by the way.
She played great on Monday. She wants to play in the national team. She wants to play for our country, and because the French Federation say you have to be there on the 24, and there's no reason why, you know, you have to be there on the 24. She can't go to the US to sign her contract, you know, and it's only 5 days, you know, it's in and out, sign your contract, come back, play for your country, and so if it was a man and we sign an NBA contract, every day the federation doesn't say anything because they say, oh, it's millions of euros, blah, blah, blah. We have to let you go sign your contract. And I hope one day we come to a point that even if it's a woman and it's not the same contract, but it's still a big contract for her, that she should have the freedom to go sign a contract and come to the national team. And I hope one day we can come to where everybody is treated the same.
Marie-Sophie, Tony Parker, thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us. Can we please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. C'est super.